So we're on. Here we go. Andrew LaMacchia, Desiree LaMacchia from the LaMacchia team, built Pilgrim Mortgage.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thanks for being here, man. Welcome to the podcast. Have y'all ever done a podcast before?
He has. He's sat with a realtor too.
Did a couple of ones with some realtors. We haven't been on a podcast together. Okay. So super excited, and it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. Well, so the LaMacchia team, that's just you two guys, right? I mean, I was talking to our guest right before us, the husband-wife dynamic, you know, the yin and the yangs of just the balance of the husband-wife dynamic is sometimes challenging. Have you ever done a personality test to kind of see if you all kind of complement each other?
We actually do. They're spot on. The one I took, the disc profile, it has me to a T, and I think it's pretty accurate on her too.
And that's what helps work, right?
Yes. We definitely balance each other out and complement each other.
How long have y'all had y'all's team?
About 8
years. 8 years in June. So yeah.
Your family was in it, right? Or was it your family?
My family.
It's been in the industry for a while. So that's how you kind of started in this?
Yeah. My mom started way back in the day working as a receptionist for Ray Ellison. I don't know if you remember that with builders. So she started in the builder world, and then she moved over to the mortgage world and kind of worked her way up, and then opened up a mortgage company. So have grown up in it. I ran through the halls of the big Ray Ellison building when I was like little.
Second nature for you? Or?
Sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is one of the hardest parts of the real estate transaction is, you know, the mortgage, you know, dealing with the clients, I'm sure is a challenge too. But you guys are the most vital part of the process, obviously. Talk to me about that process. You know, what separates you guys from or your process than anyone else maybe that's out there?
Well, you know, the one thing I like is, you know, I think every part's very important, you know, and everyone has a role to play. So we have, you know, if you think about it, we have a buyer, a seller, buyer's agent, listing agent, title. We have an appraiser, an inspector, and a lender. And we all have to work together to make this a smooth transaction, or just to make it, you know, to complete the transaction. Right. And if someone doesn't pull their weight, then it can really disrupt some things. I've been part of transactions where, you know, maybe the seller is having a tough time with something, or maybe the appraisal threw a wrench in the transaction. So, for my part, you know, we obviously, you know, we have to set up the financing and make sure they get into the house, but everyone plays a vital role. And
there's so many moving pieces, right? Like if one person doesn't do their part, it can just disrupt the whole process and the timing of a closing. You guys, I'm sure, have experienced that personally.
Yes.
So, what's your role in the business?
Well, I'm kind of more on the marketing side and business development, but I was a realtor. When I was 23, I got my license, and I have a lot of respect for our real estate partners and builders just because I've been on that side of the fence. Right. And to Andrew's point, you know, we work really as a team with our real estate partners, and that's even with the listing agent. But, you know, 23 years old, and even for the newer agents out there, I didn't realize the importance of a pre-approval letter, right? So, I mean, I always tell people I was an Uber driver before Uber was even a thing. You know, I remember I learned a really hard lesson. And, you know, owning your own business, you learn a lot of lessons and you redirect. But I didn't take a couple out for like 3 months. I took them out for 3 months. I didn't get them pre-approved.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. And I, you know, in my mind, I'm like, I'll wait. You know, I'm going to get the listing and I'm going to do the sell. Well, we found the perfect house for them. Seemingly, they seemed qualified. I mean, they both had great jobs. But
wait, were you paying for all the bills at the restaurant?
Oh, my gosh. I was driving them like no other.
She didn't know me then. She wouldn't have done that.
I know. That's right. But they had busted credit. And, you know, it was really a hard lesson for me to learn because I really set my client up for failure. And I didn't set the expectations initially. And so we really try to tell our real estate partners, like, hey, as soon as you get your buyer or that lead that comes through, like, connect us with them so that way we can help set a parameters of expectations, because the financial piece is the vital part of getting to the closing table. And so for me, I learned a hard lesson that, step one is let's initiate and bring in the loan officer immediately so we can have a better picture of what the client can afford. But then also I can make sure that I'm not going to really disappoint them with sending them to houses that they can't qualify
for. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and if people do have busted up credit, there's things that you can do. Right. And so that's one thing that I think Andrew's really great about. But yeah.
But having that experience helps you, especially now in being on this side of the fence with the mortgage industry. And I don't know, I think you guys are facing that task of working with, especially with the rates, the way they are now. You have a harder sell, I guess, to get clients to, the real estate markets. It's so different. It's always changing, and I think COVID was like one of those like, hey, everyone's buying houses, and everyone's like,
we got very proud of ourselves during the COVID times. All of us lenders did.
But it does kind of sometimes help weed out some of the bad companies, right, as well. And you learn through those lessons. And then now when you get to the point where it's a little, not necessarily challenging, I guess, because I really don't know the history of the real estate market in regards to the rates. But a lot of times people say, well, historically compared to like the 80s, this is still a good rate, but it's just we're so used to this 3% or whatever it was.
And I think
recently.
They went up so fast. That was another thing. Okay. You know what I mean? Like one day we're quoting the low threes, and all of a sudden, and gradually we're at the sixes by the end of the year. And that's a big jump. So I think that's one thing that, affected everybody, because kind of like, man, that's to go that fast, in less than a year to more than double in less than a year it was disruptive to the industry for sure.
And then you add, home valuations were definitely increasing, which not to say San Antonio didn't need, an increase on our property values, but the extent that they did increase over that time frame for COVID, that really on top of rates increasing, and then homeowners insurance rates also increased. And so when, Andrew's putting a deal together, we've got to factor in property taxes. We've got to factor in homeowners insurance. So it's not just
gone up, basically. There's nothing that's
everything's gone up. So
and that's why it's so important. Like, do not use an online lender.
For sure.
Especially somebody that's in a completely different state, because sometimes those people aren't even licensed, one. But then secondly, you don't have that local presence of, like, he knows in different areas of the San Antonio market or Bernie, New Braunfels, whatever it is, the property taxes are going to vary. And that is such a big piece of getting qualified. Or if there's a flood zone, things like that. And I'm sure being a local resource here, you can move so much faster than you would maybe somebody who's, on a different state.
For sure. Yeah. But y'all have a lot of different value options, right? When it comes to the clients, that people that are, I guess, talk to me about, the different programs you got, if it's FHA or different products that you offer as well, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things, I'm excited about is this total scope of offerings that we have. Obviously we have the classic conventional FHA, VA, which are vital, to anyone buying a home. But, we also have those other products that we help people, whether, maybe they're a bank statement loan. Instead of having to use tax returns to qualify people, we can go off their bank statements. And that's huge. It's a huge difference for people who are self-employed, because they structure their taxes differently to take advantage of some of the tax benefits and tax laws that being self-employed, they could enjoy. So we have bank statement loans. We have loans for investors. We have a buy before you sell, which is a great product we have. And we have buy
before you sell is awesome.
We have a couple other things that, we have a doctor's program, or what I call medical professional program, which not only helps doctors, but helps nurses, which is, I think, a big part of San Antonio. Another, as far being a VA centric community, a lot of military centric, we also have a very substantial healthcare industry, a lot of doctors and nurses. So it's great to have all those. And, we have a really good team, and our job is to get people in the homes and find the right programs. So it's nice to be able to be, to be nimble to go offer whatever loan program you need to help. We even have down payment assistance for people out there, and there's local programs, there's state programs. Wow. There's programs coming out here and there that help.
How do you get all this out to your customer though? Do you have to I know you do a good job of doing education, little events for realtors. I guess that would be the number one thing, is kind of making sure they know, I guess, these programs.
It starts there.
And then do you use that part of your role also, kind of talking about that? Because that's important. Yeah. People don't know that they have those options, and
Yeah, she's so good. She does a lot of marketing initiatives on loan programs, but also other ways to help clients. Because you mentioned, yes, it's a little bit harder with interest rates now. So we're having more complex conversations. I just can't send over, a worksheet that says, here are your loan terms, right? We got to have more intelligent conversations, more impactful conversations. We got to talk to them about their goals 3, 5, 10 years down the line. We got to help them and say, look, we're going to help you establish and maintain wealth. Like, hey, I'm getting in the debt because you're buying this big old house or whatever, but we're going to also put together some plans to help you, grow your wealth. And that's where, our team really excels. She helps people lower their tax burden, which I think is a huge benefit in this market.
Property taxes.
She's helped countless clients.
Wow.
Process
That's all added value. I think most people don't realize or probably don't expect mortgage companies or people to do that. I don't think I've ever heard of mortgage companies that kind of go above and beyond, kind of looking past the transaction, right? Selling your house. And when I bought my house, my first house in 98, I just remember like in 2 years, it got bought out by someone else. And the more, I don't know if that's commonplace in this industry.
That's common,
But it just felt like, it was just interesting. Now, I still had a relationship with the guy that helped me, the mortgage guy, but I guess it's just a part of the nature of the industry. But just having someone that you can call and kind of walk you through that process is important, obviously. So
absolutely,
it's great to know a guy, right?
Yeah. And then your events are great too, like your little marketing strategies, because I know that you guys are catering to the real estate market, obviously, but I think y'all go above and beyond and making sure you're actually helping them, find buyers for their houses. The real estate agents that have their listings, like the lattes and listings that you do.
Yes.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing like I think about when I was an agent were some of my pain points. And, we always say that your lender should be, communicating with you. There should be a high level of communication and they should close you on time. Like that's expected. Where the value comes in for us is that we don't only do that, but we obviously are doing other things that provide value for our buyers, our clients, right? The homeowner, which is like showing them, hey, you need to file your homestead. Hey, by the way, you need to make sure you protest your property taxes. This is how you would do it. Some of the other things that we do that Andrew puts together is we put a really nice booklet together that we give to them at closing that has really important information that you can thumb through versus going back to that really awkward folder that you probably put somewhere that you don't remember. And, all of a sudden you need a survey. So those are the things that we really provide for the homeowner on the real estate side and our realtor partner side, even for our builders and for you. Like we wanted you to be a part of Lattes and Listings because we saw that there was obviously a benefit for you to connect with our real estate partners because they might have a listing that, hey, it needs new flooring or maybe they just need some somebody in your expertise to help them get that closing that they need.
It makes sense. If you have a house that you're trying to list, a lot of times the carpet or flooring is the thing that will make the difference. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's something small, but that's actually a natural, collaboration. And thank you for bringing me into that too. But it is something that we're here to help. We're trying to help our clients and realtors. Get houses moving. I think it's just a win-win for everybody, obviously. So that's always good. And the marketing that y'all do is really important. Right? Do y'all rely, I'm sure, a lot on word of mouth, but the social media and the branding part of it. I know you're good too at the video marketing.
We try to do like a multi-tiered approach. And
we wear a lot of hats, Richard, just like you.
Yes. Well, you have to, right? You have to kind of adapt and
people
learn.
Like to engage in certain ways. I think the videos are great. Some people I get a lot of good feedback from the clients when I send them some videos instead of like an email because sometimes email gets lost, but if a video shows up, they're more engaged. Or sometimes some people like the text. I have friends that's like, don't call me unless it's something important. So I'll just text them and keep in track and give them an update on their house value or something cool like that. And we have, there's a social media that we're always trying to improve and make sure is up to snuff and provides enough value without being, totally obnoxious. But we want to provide value. We also want to show like the fun side of us too. Like we have an amazing family we love. We have some I coached Little League this spring and summer for the first time.
Was that McAllister Park?
It was McAllister Park. So that and
we lived there, Richard. We lived there.
In addition to doing mortgages and being married and living together, we also coached a Little League team. And she was a dugout mom.
That was probably the hardest part of everything, the most stressful.
So that was
I went through that season with my boys because we lived by McAllister Park, and somehow or another I would always.
Did you live by or live there?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, actually, thankfully, I lived right by there too.
That's nice.
Before, and but we lived at the park, and I have 3 boys, so 2 of them would play. Well, actually, at one time, all 3 of them. It was just nuts.
Right?
You're there every day at some point.
The hardest part is dealing with the freaking parents. I mean, I don't know what age group your kids are in, but I even at an early age, they're like 5-6 year olds. There's like some really like out of this world people that just have this weird expectation. Like these kids are still picking their nose and trying to like figure out where to go, and it's insane. That was the most stressful part.
It does.
We were super blessed to have a really awesome crew of parents this year. I know some teams were, because I was on the coaches thread on text chain, and I know some other coaches weren't as blessed as we were to have a really good and supportive parents. And that was really fun. The umpires were fine. I did get fired up at some of the other coaches. You know what I mean? Like my competitiveness comes out.
Man,
you just can't help
spirit.
it.
And I'm over here calling out the umpire. It's like, bro, that was a strike. He's like, sir, this is T-ball. Like, what are you doing? I was like calling him out and stuff, but it's fun. It's a fun time, man. You got 2 boys, right?
2 boys,
yeah. 2 boys.
Jacob and Judah.
Did they both play?
They did.
Yes.
Yeah. One did T-ball. He finished his T-ball career this year. And brother was playing machine pitch. So he's going to kid pitch. I thought they would at least try to play one season of machine pitch together, but
it's a fun time. It's a fun phase of life at that age.
It is.
Yeah. And I don't know. Do you ever listen to country? I don't know if you're a country.
A little bit.
There's a song by Trace Adkins called "You're Gonna Miss This."
Yes, I love that song.
Man, I had heard that song many times before, and now that my kids are older, it's like you hear that song, it's like, man, I miss those days when they were, in baseball or little, those busy seasons when you're kind of sometimes complaining of I have to go to baseball again. But it's like, it was actually a fun time. It was a good time to see them kind of grow up. It's part of that phase of life, right? But
it's cool. Because I see because I grew up playing baseball in McAllister, and the coaches now.
You're from here?
I'm from San Antonio, so. The people I played with are now having their kids play there. So I see them back at the fields. And then I'm even coaching with some of the guys I grew up playing with. So it all comes full circle. It is. And it's just a lot of fun. It's very fulfilling. For sure.
It's so funny that circle you say, right? Like it's San Antonio is such a big community, but it's small at the same time. It's like you're always connected with someone somehow or another. But did y'all meet here in San Antonio? Or?
We did. We actually went to high school together.
Oh, is it high school sweethearts also? Or?
No. He only
you just knew each other in high school. You weren't sweethearts back then.
I don't know if she knew of me, but I knew of her for sure.
So you stalked her is what you're saying. You were like,
I was a year older, and I played basketball with his next door neighbor that he grew up with, Allison. And they grew up together since they were little. And I'm a year older than him. So I was over at Allison's house one day, and Andrew would, just run over there because that's what he did. She was like a, sister. And I remember seeing Andrew, and, my girlfriend, Allison, his good friend, is very nonchalant. She's like, Andrew Des. And I was like, hi.
She's like all perky and hello, and I'm like a little tad bit intimidated. She's maybe a little shy.
He said,
and I said hi, and I think I left.
And he ran out.
I think I went home because I don't think Allison could play basketball because she had a friend over. So I was like, oh, bye. So, good first impression. For sure.
Yeah. So it only took him like practically 20 years to ask me out.
Really?
And then we actually had a class together in summer school in college. So at SAC, San Antonio College. And
but he barely talked to me as well.
So y'all just reconnected later in life? I mean,
Yeah, later in life.
I don't want to come on too strong, Richard.
So it's the long game.
I was playing a long game.
Very long
from
game.
the jump. So, and then we actually,
he does have a lot of patience. So.
And then we connected.
It's a good industry for you to be in then.
Yeah, exactly.
It translates well. So we reconnected at a tailgate before the Baylor Texas game. And that's when we actually talked. I remember talking to you. We talked.
You're like, finally.
Then stalked her a little bit on Facebook, and then about a year later after that, we had our
year
first date.
after that.
Because I lived in Austin at the time.
Okay.
I did live in Austin. I didn't come down to San Antonio
Did you go
that
to
much.
UT? Or?
I did, yeah. And she went to Baylor, so house divided.
Well, that's so coincidental then. So you kind of reconnected at a tailgate.
At a tailgate that I really wasn't.
Wow.
I was not planning on going that specific evening. I was planning just to go straight to the game, and I said, "Well, let's just go at this tailgate." Some former coworkers were there, and then sure enough, she was there.
It was a Rackspace tailgate, so we had a mutual friend that worked at Rackspace that also went to our high school. I didn't know he was going, but I was meeting some friends there, and he was dating somebody. I was dating somebody when we went to the tailgate together, and then
and y'all hadn't seen each other since basically high school or soccer,
like 15 years maybe.
Wow, that's meant to be then, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I think his mom was lighting a lot of candles.
I think so. Yes,
she said so.
Your LaMacchia is what is that, Italian or?
It's Italian.
Yeah, so it's not Hispanic. 100%. So it wasn't like because the Mexicans they'll do the prende la vela, they kind of put all the.
Basically, the Italians do the same thing.
That's funny. My wife and I were high school sweethearts, so she's a year older. Yeah, she's a year older than me, and but when I left McAllen at 18, I just left McAllen, and my wife or my girlfriend back then, she just said, "Well, I'm going to go up too," and she had I was going to come up to go to school at UTSA, and then was going to come up to go to SAC, but she'd already graduated a year before me, so she kind of. I think she just lingered around waiting for me to kind of figure out what I was going to do. But man, it's just like, it's interesting. I think about that. Just if she hadn't come up with me, we probably wouldn't have been together. And, or who knows, maybe we kind of reconnected like you guys, but it worked out, and we've just been together ever since. And
3 kids later, huh?
Going back to the yin yang, I'm always been just the adventure, like I'm going to just leave town and, look at the windshield, not look back. And I remember her and I drove and I had a little red Isuzu pickup and I didn't have a lot of belongings. I stuck whatever I had in the back of my truck. She stuck whatever she had in the back of my little truck and we moved up together and she cried almost the whole way up. Maybe like questioning what she was doing, but but you know what? She's been a blessing to me ever since. And I've been able to just take care of her and, be there the whole time. So it's been cool. I like, it's funny. There's more, a lot of the couples that I know are actually are really high school sweethearts or at least known each other for a while. So it's kind of interesting. It's not as uncommon as it
as you think.
Yeah.
I have a lot of high school friends who dated in high school and married, and so does she. We both something in the water at Churchill, I guess. But high school.
But you also told me like a crazy fact that there's a certain percentage of people that meet their spouse by the time they're 17.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
So not necessarily like, boyfriend, girlfriend or whatever. It's just at some point you meet that person that you're 16 or 7 when you're 17.
It's a pretty high.
It's like 2/3.
Wow. Really?
That was a crazy stat. But I started thinking about it. I was like, almost all my close friends.
Yeah.
A lot of her close friends. Have
known each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's very common. My parents, a lot of our.
So I look at Jacob and Judah's girls that are in his classroom like, do I know your mommy? Yes.
Yeah. She's doing some
do I know you? Who are you?
Well, it's tough because I've got 3 boys also, and of course the generations always change. And my 2 oldest ones have girlfriends, and they're really sweet girls. And actually, I really, really, really like them. And you just want the best for your kids, obviously, and people or women or whoever that they're going to just take care of each other, right? And we always try to do our best to be good examples for our kids as we grown up, but that's just a challenge, right? I mean, in today's society, cultures, it's like ever changing, and it's like the funny thing is one of my oldest son's first girlfriend, who he liked a lot. He would bring her over, and I would cook out and say, "Hey, you want some steak? You want some, Oh, I don't eat meat." It's like, bro, she got to go. Yeah. She got to go.
We are a meat family.
She didn't like steak. I was like, Eliana, no, I don't know if this is gonna work. So that's where we draw the line. But no, anyway, she was sweet. But anyway, we moved on from her, and he's got.
But it is a cultural thing because I will say, like, the Italian and the Hispanic, definitely there's a lot of similarities. So when I came into his family, it felt like my family. And I think that you find a comfort in that. And there's also like you're not just marrying your spouse, but you're marrying their family.
Sure.
You're marrying their values.
Right.
You're marrying kind of all the things that they do.
Well, you got to be yoked and be connected.
You do.
And if you're not, then it gets harder, right? Because you're
Oh,
like,
God.
okay,
I
going
can't
in two
even
different
imagine.
directions. You're like pulling.
And then raising kids, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
the way I feel like we're always aligned,
Mhm.
the way we raise our kids. But a lot of it is the way we were raised. You know, we were raised very similar. So we don't really fight about that, you
Right.
know, at all. Really.
Is all y'all's family here in town? Pretty much?
Yeah, I have some family up in Dallas. For the most part, yeah, they're all here in San
Yeah,
Antonio.
no, that's good. That helps. And I'm guessing you have somewhat larger families where you can just kind of, grow and have your kids there to have their, grandpas, grandmas, aunts, uncles, whatnot. Because like ours were kind of spread out because since we came from McAllen, it's like it's got a little harder to kind of go back and visit and stuff. But it is cool to have like that family dynamic intact and in tune.
Well, surprisingly, Andrew is an only child from an Italian family.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
they stopped at perfection. They couldn't top it. So
they're like, we got the masterpiece already.
Yeah.
That's all. What do y'all do for fun? I know you like doing pickleball, and is there anything
trying to get into trying to play a lot more pickleball? We liked a lot of sports. Really, I grew up playing sports, but spending time with my kids doing sports is what is whether it's baseball, soccer, basketball. Now one of them wants to play flag football.
Oh wow, cool.
I'm really into UT sports, so football, the baseball team,
I love
all
watching
the sports,
the baseball. Yeah.
And then it's really been fun. Is both kids actually really like baseball, so we've gone to we did maybe 3 Major League Baseball games last year.
Oh, wow.
We went to a game in San Diego. We went to in Dallas to see the Rangers play. And that was really cool to share, that experience with them because that's something my dad and my dad and my grandpa, he's involved in baseball for over 60 years.
Really?
So I share that bond with him and I get to share that with my boys.
Did you play baseball also?
I played in high school, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's been fun seeing her get into it because she played basketball. And just seeing her
grew up around baseball, but I told him, I was like, I really didn't understand like the love of the game. Like when people say the love of the game for baseball, because my dad played baseball. And funny enough, his grandfather, who was a major league scout, scouted my dad.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
I think, didn't your dad say, "Oh, LaMacchia," like when you told him we're going dating or whatever?
We're going out on a date.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, Dad, do you know? Like, I think his grandpa played," and he was like, "LaMacchia." He's like, "Al LaMacchia, he scouted me."
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
And her dad and my grandpa had like a mutual friend. Named Angelo. I mean, you talk about a small world.
Yeah.
And this guy moved from here from like New York and somehow met my grandpa and also met her dad.
Yeah.
And, throughout his time
my dad
living.
knew all the good Italians.
Throughout living in San Antonio. And it was really one of those cool things we found out later.
That's a small world, man. That's good. Baseball's fun and like to have that interest with the boys also, like your kids, kind of getting them excited about. That's where I think it helped because I liked it. The only regret I had was that I just kind of pushed that so much, that my youngest son was really good at playing soccer at like 5 years old. And I feel like I should have probably kept him in that a little bit longer because he was pretty good at it, and I just pushed him to baseball. But I mean, whatever.
It's hard.
It's just, I mean, you just want them to be active and be a part of some sort of like team sport. Sometimes helps, and
it does.
The thing I did learn though, like in McAllister, especially having the 3 boys, like as they grew, and then 2 of my boys played travel ball, right, and then now we're traveling a lot. And funny story, my older son was part of this travel team, and 12 years old, one of his best friends, right before the season, he told him, hey, we're going to join this other team. It's another team that's really, really good. It's called the Thunder. And we came from a McAllister team, which I don't want to say they're soft, but very good, talented kids, right? But it was just, 12-year-olds, and so this other team was Southside Boys. And so we went for the practice, right? And my buddy knew the coach over there, and so we went for the practice. And the very first practice, it was like on the south side, Normoil Field, I think it was. And the kids are just like hitting bombs, hustling, and coaches were amazing, right?
Right.
And actually, I always found a way to get onto the field somehow because I played baseball, and so I was able to find a way to coach. But during the middle of the practice, the coach goes, "Drive by." And all the kids go on the floor and they fall on the ground. And my son and my other buddy, his buddy, were like, "What's going on?" And everybody starts laughing, you know?
That is
we're on the south side now. We gotta like learn to adapt.
Yes.
And yeah, my son has a tattoo now here. No, I'm kidding. But no, it was really cool. Sweet people, really just a different approach to baseball, life, a little more rugged, a little more I don't want to say they were tougher, more grit, exactly.
Yeah,
but we got to experience that. So they had that season through that anyway. And it was interesting, within the realm of sports, right? How you start learning and meeting people, different, walks of life, right? And it's cool. It's cool. And it was a good season for them to kind of learn and go through that. It actually made them better, tougher, resilient kids in general. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I do love about sports.
We had a similar experience like that this past fall. Last fall when Jacob played select soccer. I mean, he's good at soccer. So I was like, okay, you want to do this because this is like a commitment. And I swear every person there was bilingual. I mean, Spanish was probably their first language. And they do play different. Like it is an all out battle the whole time you're out there,
right.
And Jacob hadn't experienced that either.
Yeah.
And it's like, pásale, pásale. And then you're getting really, kind of moved over. Aggressive. And so it did, it's good. It's good to put your kids in uncomfortable situations because that's the world, and I'm thankful that he had that experience because it's parents and kids from all backgrounds, just trying to put their kid in the best sports situation. Yeah. And there are some awesome players. I'll tell you what.
For sure. Do you speak Spanish?
I can. It's so funny because I feel like there's so much more acceptance of speaking Spanish and having it integrated in the classroom as well as at home. And, my dad's fluent and his mom and everybody. But when my dad was growing up, it's here in San Antonio, it was like, no hablas en español, hablas en inglés. And so with my grandmother, she would speak it to us.
What does that mean? What did you say? No.
I know, I probably didn't say it right.
I speak Spanish too.
But, she would speak in Spanish, but then she would tell me, no, mija, hablas en inglés. And so I wish I would have gotten more of that. If I need to, I can. It just takes a little bit to reconnect, but
but the reality is English is the way you have to compete in this world, right? In any industry. So I mean, it's important. I didn't really raise my kids speaking Spanish, and I do regret because I learned Spanish at an early age from my mom, my grandmother, my stepdad, and there's an advantage sometimes when you have clients that come from I have clients sometimes from Mexico, whatever, and they'll deal with you just because of that, right?
Yes.
But I guess maybe it depends on your industry. But you obviously
we come across that a lot, and I always tell people I can, but when it gets to the financial part, I want to make sure that we have, which we do. We have people on our team that can speak and they're fluent in Spanish, but I want to make sure that that's communicated because sometimes. Maybe the way we would say certain financial terms, it's a little bit different. So
it's not something you can bungle.
Yeah, real estate terms in Spanish.
Yeah, you can't Tex-Mex it, So
Spanglish it, and I think we need to go golf also, Andrew, especially the vicinity of where you're at now.
I'll try to get back into it. I'm not, but it'd be fun. Yeah,
yeah, man.
I'm usually good for one good shot. One good shot each hole. So I don't know which one it's going to be, but it might be the driver or one of the irons. But it'd be fun.
You said you're a whiskey drinker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? Would you like?
Scotch,
bourbon, or
I like Bullet and Jack Daniels. I'm pretty easy. I'm not, I like a variety of them, but I like them all really.
Yeah. Do that on a Friday night just over a steak?
Oh, that's the best.
Right?
A Diet Coke. Gotta be diet.
Yeah.
It has I feel better taste mixed with whiskey at least. And that's my thing.
That's a daddy reward.
I like old fashions. I kind of gotten into those. I can't make, if I'll go to a nice bar they'll and they can make it, I'll get an old fashioned. Those are good.
Yeah. How do you? So is this the way you decompress, or because I know industry with the work in real estate market, it can get very challenging, right? Juggling all the transactions you be working with or customers, but
I think for me, I don't speak for her, but for me, I like to just come home and just relax. And I've been trying to stop, cut out my drinking a lot, just because, I operate better that way, especially in the morning anyway. But yeah, so I like being active, going out to work out, play a good game of like pickleball or just having a tough workout, or they just opened up some boxing gym that I went to this morning at 5:30 a.m.
Which one?
It's called Rumble.
Okay.
So it's brand new. So literally today was the first day it opened.
What is that?
It's kind of like
a 9 rounds type?
No, I compare more to Orange Theory, but with boxing instead of running. There's a weight component, but instead of like running or doing the rowers, you're hitting bags. So we learned all the punches, and that was fun.
You're just constantly moving?
They'll have different combinations.
Session,
it's 45 minutes, and then you'll do you do some boxing, and then you'll do a weight component, and then you'll do some abs, which really sucks.
Wow, that sounds pretty good. Where is it? Is it
right around the corner? It's right off Stone Oak Parkway near like Le Peep and that Sonic, and right in that area.
Shopping area where that Sushi 7 is.
Okay, yeah.
Across from the Wendy's.
Yeah. No, that's cool, because the harder part when you get older is like the cardio part, right?
Yeah.
Keeping...
You're less motivated for it.
Yeah.
That's what I find works better for me.
Yeah. Well, the classes are good because it's structured and there's someone's telling you to do. Yeah. And you go and I like the accountability part when you start meeting with other people that are in. Actually, you used to go to 210 CrossFit back in the day, right?
I did.
That's right. I think we may have kind of crossed paths there before.
We know some of the, we know like the Galvans. I didn't know they were twins at first. And I think I told the story where I came in from Austin and dropped in, and I said hello to Steve. And he kept ignoring me. And I was like, what's with this guy? and then after 2 minutes later, I'm a little, annoyed. And then 2 minutes later, Steve comes in from the other side of the gym. He's like, hey, what's up, Drew? I'm like, wait a minute. Like, who's this guy? And like, oh, it's my twin brother, Chris. And, but I was there for, good 2 years.
Those are some good dudes. I ran across an old pic from like 10 years ago. From there, and some guys I still work out with. It's funny, how much you changed though in 10 years.
I know.
Right.
It's like, actually, one of my friends looks the same, but
what are they taking?
I know. No, it's just all my buddy John Rosser. He's a real cool dude. He's just real regimented in how he does things, how he eats, how he works out. Just super disciplined. This is one of those like, he's an engineer. I mean, he's just like. Everything's like right here, everything's like, and I try, I'm real routine oriented also, but sometimes, for me, like if you get kind of off track for a little bit, then it's hard for me to get back on sometimes. Once I kind of get momentum going, then I usually try to stick with it. But being active, being, involved with, some sort of gym is super for me important.
Now the CrossFit days are fun, and now it's too easy for me to get hurt. So
for sure, no, I don't do CrossFit anymore. Now I just go to a regular gym and we just kind of do
the boxing thing's great for me. It gets some aggression out and get a little bit of weight, and it's 45 minutes. I
just want to be. Well, that's actually I was going to ask you about that, because that's actually a good way to kind of release some stress. Just kind of start punching some stuff.
It is. So I really enjoy it. So hopefully, be something I can go to, a lot. So we do that, or I do that, and we like to go to the lake. We have a little place up there that
nice.
We just, I grew up
Travis or
LBJ.
So, okay.
In high school, I grew up going to Canyon Lake a lot with my buddies, and I know she, went up to the lake a lot with her family, and this is something we really enjoy. The kids love it.
Do you have a boat?
No.
You want to buy one?
No.
I think every podcast I literally try to sell my boat. I swear, I think everyone, I got my boat in 2017. I used it, for 3 or 4 good years, and of course, get older and don't use it as much.
I know.
I had it in Canyon Lake for like a year and a half. I had it on the slip for like 4 years. Which, if you're paying top dollar for it to be there, but if you're using it, then that's
works
out. But once you don't
use
it, it's like, okay, just sitting there. So I finally got it out. Now I'm just like, well, I guess got to sell it. So I'm just in case, you know of anybody.
Yeah.
Looking for, but the lake for me too, is that's like a so peaceful environment for me. It's like serene. It's like really cool. I'm sure your boys like going over
they
there.
love it. Yeah, they love it. And I think like the thing too is like when we go there, and I'm sure with your family, when you go to a certain spot, it's like, it's y'all's time together just to disconnect and be present. And I think that's one thing that we really try to work with is like being 100% present when we're together, so we don't miss out on the little moments, because I know they're going to go by so fast, and they're going to be like, oh, we want to go with our friends. And I'm going to be like, oh, please don't go.
Do you ever have, like, in your journey with your business or in life, and I always like to ask these questions, like these game-changing moments, and I don't remember if you know Tom mentioning this a few months back when he did his presentation, but just moments in life that, you could consider you guys rekindling over at the Baylor UT game tailgate as a game-changing moment in life, but any other events in your past that, put you on your path of where you're at? That if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't be here?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've had a lot.
How long's the podcast?
There's no one booked after this, and I still got more tequila.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think like us getting together for sure was a big, moment in both of our lives. I think both of us were praying that we would be aligned with the person and the partner that, God had for us. And it becomes more evident, right? Like as you walk through your marriage together, because the wedding is one thing, the marriage is really the life that you build together. And I know like for Andrew and I, we didn't know what we were embarking on, but I can definitely say that, God is so good and merciful, even in the hard times, because he sets you up, right, for success. And I don't think we both lost our moms within the last, 8 years. My mom has been gone this year will be 8 years, and it will be 5 years for his mom, but we lost both of our moms in a 3-year time span, along with, me losing my job, Andrew changing his career, us having a child, us losing a child, and then us, having another baby who was in the NICU for 41 days. And so, I mean, we had a lot of hurdles that we got through. But I feel like, you're saying like the yin and the yang, when it comes together, that support that you get from your spouse to get through that. Like there's no other person that could have helped you get through that, together. And, I remember when Andrew's mom passed away, because it was very shocking. It wasn't expected at all. But I remember, taking him to go get his car from the clinic, the med clinic that they had went to go get her just checked. And she had just passed away. And I remember him looking at me saying, when you said I had no, excuse my language, fucking clue what it meant to lose your mom, he's like, you're right. And I just crushed me because I didn't want him to feel that. But now we're in this season together where, my husband's lost his mom and now I got to be there for him. You know what I mean? And so I think like about those things, and I think about how God orchestrates. It's not maybe the story that you would have expected or thought you would have, but through it, you can definitely see the maneuvering of where God was planning and taking you and stuff like that. And so I look back now and I'm just so grateful, with all the loss. There's also so much that we've gained.
Right. Just kind of strengthened y'all's relationship and
built absolutely.
It even stronger. And
I'm like, bring it. We got this. We can do it.
I'm
like, mortgage rates go up. It's fine.
It's fine.
We've
It's the least of your
problem.
We've been through.
That's that perspective, right? That perspective that people don't pay attention to. And
it is. And I think like with perspective, like it also gives you priorities, and I look back at, before Andrew was in our field, I know I was working a lot, especially after my mom passed, because I took a lot of her projects on. And I remember I was running to, different states with our baby, who isn't even one yet, trying to open up these offices, that my mom had already planned to open. And, I ended up getting terminated from, from the company that I was working at, which was family owned. And it made me take a step back that, the priority at that time should have been my family and my healing. But I was pushing through. And so having that reflection and that experience, of course, I wouldn't have had that perspective unless I would have gone through that. But it's made me make certain choices that my family is my priority, and everything else can fall into place. But that's my number one priority.
And it does put everything in perspective, right? The priorities, like you said, and makes you more resilient at the end of the day. And that's the challenge with any industry, because the clients, and I've said this before, they don't know what you go through, what you've been through, what you're dealing with, and that challenge for us as business owners, just to kind of mask it well.
Yes,
and
right.
Treat them, the customer, as you're the number one concern right now. But
yes.
But those rates, like you said, at the end of the day, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's
that's nothing. Yeah, because like she said, perspective. I mean, it allows me to empathize with other people who had, life happen to them. Whether, I remember meeting a lady like 2 months after her husband suddenly passed, and we just kind of sat there, and I was like, I'm so sorry, my dad. It's the same shoe, I know what you're going through. My dad lost his wife of 43 years. And so we kind of connected over that. I remember the client, remember her well. And it was, you learn a lot of things about people.
Sure.
And you learn we've gone through some stuff, but a lot of people have.
Right.
A lot of people we know
right.
have gone through some really tough situations. And I think it's just a lot about your faith and your strength and your family and how you handle it and the people that you surround yourself with.
That's exactly it right there. I was about to say, I mean, if you got that circle of friends or those peers or family members that are there to support you, that's, at the end of the day, it's all that matters. That's kind of like, I talk about circles all the time, and having, people that you can rely on, that can hold you accountable, that you can lean on if you're hurting or you're struggling with whatever. It's so important. And that's why people fail a lot of times, because they don't have people to lift them up. And it's good, and I hate when people sometimes say that no one cares. Everyone's got their own problems, because we don't like to complain. We don't like to bitch about the little things, because at the end of the day, no one cares, like they say. But the reality is, there's some harsh things that we go through sometimes, and so long as you got number one, each other, which, to your point, that helps build and strengthen your marriage, and you have that little circle of friends that you can lean on. I mean, that's super, super important to kind of help you get through that day, bounce back the next. So,
it is. And I think there's obviously maturity as you go through certain situations that you gain from the experience. And then I think as you process and go through that experience, I think there also is a level of grace that you extend to others that maybe wasn't always there.
For sure.
And then one thing that I've been reading a book by Brene Brown called Dare to Lead. And it's a really good book. And she talks about really uncomfortable topics, which is vulnerability and shame, and how those two things, even in a workplace, can be very evident, and it keeps people from really becoming their best, because people are afraid to be vulnerable and share, right? Kind of like what we're doing right now. And then other people are carrying shame because maybe they feel like they didn't step up to the plate, and maybe somebody called them out, and it wasn't really the most respectful way to do. And so I think a lot of those things have really helped shape me to be okay, it's not that nobody cares. It's just that I think that people innately or self-absorbed. I mean, that's just the reality. But I think when you can connect in a genuine way and be vulnerable about it, people really see oh, wow, I'm not the only person going through this,
right.
And I think like, maybe with that, like we're able to connect with people in our friend group or outside of our group and provide some type of connecting, but also like, hey, you know what? You're going to get through this.
Having that conversation is the hard part. Like you said, just having that vulnerability and the willingness to share.
Yes.
I think that's the first step, because if no one knows what you're dealing with, then it's kind of hard to get help, or vice versa. If you don't ask questions, sometimes people just want to be asked, like literally, like,
how are you?
How are you? And then they start talking like, well, wait, what?
Yeah.
But if you generally have this intent to like, hey man, how you doing? And I kick myself in the butt sometimes because I feel like there's a lot of friends. I just called one of my friends yesterday I hadn't talked to in forever, but sometimes like, I don't know if it's I'm driving, the Holy Spirit or whatever tells me, it's like, man, you should call this person or call, but too many times we don't, right? We're just kind of, again, we're living in our own little world and just focus so much on what we're doing. But I think it's important that if we do step out, be that guy. There's this meme that goes, who's your 3 a.m. guy? Who's that guy that you can call, right? Or that's going to call you and you're going to be like, all right, I got you, right? Yeah. But, why wait till 3 a.m.? Why not call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon during the day?
Yeah.
And why wait for someone to call you? Why don't you reach out and call that someone that may need that conversation, maybe needs to be uplifted or encouraged. So, I mean, I don't know. It's not that it's incumbent upon us to try to solve everybody's problems, but I think it is encouraging to at least be an encourager, right? As best as you can. It's hard. It is hard. But thank you for sharing that testimony, though. I mean,
I mean, I know a guy that got us through some hard times.
That's it right there. Yeah. And that's, I think, what we all want to just rely on, is that there is someone there that we can lean on. And I think that's just a testament to y'all's personality. I mean, you guys are good people. I think in business, I think it's just manifests with these relationships that you build with your clients, and your coworkers and, your referral partners, realtors, whoever it is them kind of getting to know who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so important.
Well, and what's funny is, kind of asked a little bit about like the origins or whatever. And yes, I was in this business before Andrew decided to come into the crazy world of mortgage lending. But, it's so funny because a lot of people think Andrew's temperament is more reserved, and actually he's not. Like he's funny, he's adventurous, he's a prankster, and those are the things that like
definitely a prankster.
Not people see all the time, But
you're very reserved for sure.
I know everybody says that.
Does it take a few glasses of scotch to get you loose?
I don't know.
I think it depends on how well he knows you. Like,
I guess, or at the pickleball court, I'm just guessing you're just real hardcore there, right?
Yes, he's very focused.
I can get intense, but I mean, I'm passionate like everybody else about certain things. And
the more you get to know him, you
in a social setting, I like to listen. I like to observe. And I'll talk to people, but I'm not going to be like the center of attention all the time. But I'm more interested in people, so I'm a little more reserved. I'm not shy, but some people are just that's just the way I'm wired, I guess. But,
there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think listening is a quality people don't have.
Yeah, really.
I mean, I try.
And on that point, that when after my mom had passed away, because my mom passed away in April of 2016, and so I was working at my family's mortgage company, and then in January, the CEO let me go. And, we didn't know what we were going to do because I'd had a baby, Andrew was working. And about 2 months later, Andrew had been thinking about this, and I knew he was because he had been in technology for a long time, and I knew he was bored. I knew he was kind of just like, there's got to be more, right, than what I'm doing. And so he was looking at different things, but I was so entrenched in, my mom had passed away. She was sick. We had just had a baby. I was trying to finish these projects and do stuff. And I remember the day that the CEO let me go, and I remember being stunned and shocked because that person was my stepdad at the time, too.
I was going to ask you, because you said it's your family's mortgage business.
Yeah. So my mom and my stepdad had started it. And I remember going back to my office and, crying because it was very emotional.
That's like so out of left field. I'm sure you didn't expect that.
No, right? Wow. I did not. But I remember God telling me 3 things. And I remember him saying, I will do this. follow your husband and stay close to me.
Mm.
I just remember him vividly saying those things, and I've never forgotten that.
Wow.
And so the follow your husband, I was like, okay, what does that mean? Right? Like, oh God, what's happening? And so I remember, Andrew was so good to me during that time because I had poured everything into, finishing my mom's projects and building and doing this stuff. And then, we, unfortunately, American culture, we put a lot of our identity in the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one thing that this taught me, was that my identity lies with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
My identity lies with my responsibilities, which is I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm all these other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew's like, it takes some time. Like you've been through a lot. Like, take some time. So I did, and I stayed home with Jacob for a little bit, and then it was Valentine's Day, and his mom watched Jacob, so we went out.
Hotel Emma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'd had some drinks, and then he lays it on me, and he's like, honey, he's like, I've really been thinking about this, and I've been praying about it. He's like, I really want to be a mortgage lender. And I was like, are you serious?
And then I ducked. And I was like, oh, what is she going to say? Am I going to
So he can be crazy.
Am I going to drive her
this
crazy or just throw more on her plate that she's just, we all got going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to come
he
up
was
the
gonna
left field and like,
Yeah.
hey, let's change my career. That
Yeah.
I've never had to, never been into. This
Mm-hmm.
to something totally different. And she was.
Richard, I just had peace. Like when he said that, like I was like, oh my gosh, you would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, really?
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. And I was like, yes, you'll be amazing, because I mean, obviously I grew up with lenders. I'd been in the business for so long,
Mm-hmm.
but Andrew has qualities, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
listening.
Mm-hmm.
As salespeople don't listen enough. And he's such a great listener. He also loves numbers, and he, on a sales side, is going to get the job done. And I was like, you would be perfect. Like, oh my God, let's do it.
Wow.
And he was like, really? I was like, yes. And I think like that night or the next day, we went online and figured out how we would go and get, our NMLS license to be a licensed loan officer. And we took the classes together.
Wow.
And everything. And so we just really embarked on this journey together, on our own with, like I'm sure you and your wife, you don't have a scratch to your name. Like you're just like, okay, we're going to do this.
Just having faith in God, just trusting to do it.
Jumping in 2 feet.
Taking that action to do it. And just having that faith. Yeah, just jump in and just figure it out. Well, it helped because you've obviously had that experience too, right? But I think that's interesting when you say that God said, follow your husband, and then he's over here basically jumping into
her world. Yeah,
her world. And it's like, okay, well, did God tell you to follow your wife?
I can't say yes.
No, but it's amazing though how that works, right? And then here you are, fast forward 7-8 years later now, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys are thriving, doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say too, like for women who have careers, right? And I'm sure your wife could attest to this, but when you're in the season of being a wife and a mother, like it definitely pulls in different aspects of your life, because, one thing that I told him, because, obviously as we embarked on this journey, like I had gotten offers to do, fairly similar positions that were like a VP level or a director level. And I told Andrew, I was like, yeah, but if I take these jobs, like I'm going to be traveling, I'm going to be away, and it's just not worth it to me to have somebody else raise our children and me not be available to you. Like I kind of already did this, at parents' company, and I sacrificed so much only to be terminated by family.
Right, yeah.
And to have,
You've already been down that road.
Yeah. And, flying with my, 1-year-old in different places and nursing him in different bathrooms. And nobody sees those sacrifices that you make, and I know that like this season of following him isn't, as a woman, it's not I take a step down.
Sure.
It's I partner with him. We partner together. And yes, my role right now is to be a wife and a mother to our family.
But that's the most important role, right? I think people forget that. And I think this whole, recent controversy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, I always would tell my wife, because my wife, she's my partner and she's taken a big step in our business here, especially since our kids are older. But man, she had the hardest job of raising our 3 freaking kids, good kids. But I'm just saying, like, the juggling of everything that has to be done at home, right? While
there's so much things she does seamlessly that I can barely even handle.
There's like this negative connotation to the homemaker, title or whatever you want to call it, or just how about a mother, right? Like, you're being a mom, like that's
birthing person.
Birthing, but like that is, it's hard, right? Anyone, male or female, if you're raising your kids as a man, whatever, but it's just that's such a big, important part of the family structure, the family dynamic, the values that you try to set at an early age, for your kids. It's so important, but it seems like we've just kind of forgotten about that. I go, well, no, it's okay. I'll just kind of sacrifice family and focus on my career.
Yeah.
It's like, it ends up biting you in the ass down the road, I think.
It really does. And, it was interesting because we had got an opportunity to go with a mortgage company and I could assume like a really nice position with a good, really great salary and whatnot. And I felt like I told Andrew was so great. He's like, honey, I know like this would be great. Like you can do this. Like I'm 100% behind you. Just tell me what you need. And I was like, I just don't feel peace. I'm going to pray about it. And I just didn't feel peace. And I told him, I was like, look, I don't feel peace about this. And this is not where I need to be. And sure enough, 3 weeks later, his mom passed away. And I really feel like that was the Holy Spirit, like telling me this was not the direction for our family, because his mom, I mean, she would pick up our boys every single day. I mentioned that Judah, he's our 3rd baby, but he was, already $1 million baby because he was in the NICU for 41 days and we kept him out of daycare because, it's like a petri dish when you go to daycare. So he needed his lungs to grow, but his mom was so integral in our life. She was the catch-all when we're out, doing running
events,
the streets for business. And so, I just really knew then that God was like, your season is to be here with your husband and your kids and really, not just make this business successful, but make your home successful. And I really had depended on, Andrew's mom because she was an amazing wife. She's an amazing mom. I learned so much from her in the 4 years about being a mom and a wife that has really instilled so much into me and what I want to provide for our children, what I saw her do for him and the family. But I think like as women, we want to wear so many hats and be, doer of all things. And it's not possible,
right? Because
then we're exhausted and the people that are most important to us, like our husbands and our kids, they get the last bit of us. Right. And what's it worth? Right. Our oldest is 8 and I think to myself all the time, in 10 years, he's gone. And that's fast. Like this 8 years went by so
You're
fast.
You're going to miss this.
Yeah. Yes.
So everybody tells me.
Yes.
I try to remember that when they do things that get on my nerves like at night. And I'm like, what, one day it's going to be, they're not even going to want to be here. They're going to be like out with their friends and this is the last place they want to be.
Well, and you have to, what I try to do, and I would always try to do like these little mental pictures, like snap pictures in my head, try to remember like this moment and stuff. But then the little things that I look back at sometimes that would annoy me, I miss, like the messy houses, the toys cups, everywhere,
the cups on your counter.
The funny thing is, we still have a trashy house because of our damn dogs. There's toys now. There's dog toys everywhere. It's like not kids' toys, but
that's too funny.
No, listen, it's very important to have that family, and I just appreciate you guys really spending the time, kind of talking to me and sharing your story and talking about your business. And I think this is really insightful. Again, my purpose is to use this platform to kind of showcase people that are in front of me. And I think just for your potential clients to, really kind of see what you guys are about. I think it's good to know. And you guys are great people.
Ditto, friend.
Yes.
I think this is such a cool platform,
I know.
too.
I like the name. It's perfect.
Well, because some people, they see it's almost like a storefront. Even like social media is a storefront. But when you actually get to know the people, which is hard to do when you're, doing business, it's obviously an exchange. But when you actually get to understand, how did you get to this place?
Sure.
It's always so cool to figure out people's story. Like, I didn't know about you and your wife that y'all were high school sweethearts.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and what this has done for me, I've always, based on my personality test, I'm a nurture connector, but so I'm a champion of relationships and champion of hooking people up, I guess. Right. But and it's funny, but it's those personality
You'd be
tests.
Mr. Schmooze. Have you read that book?
Oh, no.
No? It's a good book.
I'm going to get it for you. It's super cute.
But
connect people together.
But the thing that this has taught me too as well is just being able to ask questions, kind of learning from people is even with my customers. So I get a lot of customers, people that I work with. And there's a gentleman that I just met yesterday, and I'll make this short because we're already kind of running over. But he works and he owns the Pickleball Giants. Going back to the store,
the store. Okay,
yeah. And so
he sold me my pickleball, my racket.
His name is Robert Wood, and
he's not from here, right? He's not from San Antonio, is he? I think he told me.
I think he lived in Florida for a while,
that's what
but I think he's from up Odessa, I believe, area.
Yeah.
But just real quick story, and he's actually going to hopefully come on in the next month.
Nice.
But because I was asking him, I was like, we went to go look to price out some carpeting for him. Anyway, so I was like, hey, how did you get into this? Just kind of curious.
Yeah.
But that curiosity, right? Kind of getting those origin stories. And man, he started talking for like 25 minutes. And I'm like there listening. I'm like, it's cool. Like he's telling me all these little stories about how he started the pickleball store. But he's an older gentleman, but then he started telling me about his family business. They were in the sporting goods business back in the day.
Wow.
They had they would sell sporting goods, right? And Rydell and all those brands. And I'll just fast forward. He's 21, 22, and his dad basically told him, here, take these lists of accounts. There's a roadmap. Go to this place. And this is back in the day. He's like going on an adventure to sell. Yeah, just kind of. And he went off,
read a map.
Went off on an adventure and for about a month to sell product. And he came back and he told his dad. And his dad was like, well, whatever. You sold X amount. Okay. And he says that he walked out of his office. He was 22, I think, at the time. Walks out of his office standing in front of his secretary. And he heard his dad call the sales guy of the company and say, hey, my son just sold more than you have all year in 1 month, and, he heard it. He peeks back into the door and looks at his dad, kind of winks at him. But so Robert was the person that got Academy into the sporting goods world.
Wow.
So he tells me that story, and because Academy was
Academy,
when they opened up, it was just
sports
more
and outdoors,
like camping stuff.
Well, it was just more ammo, camo.
Really?
It was kind of catering to like the military world, and then
wow.
So I'll share this later. Hopefully he'll be able to tell us, but he actually was the one that got Academy to get into the sporting goods world, and he's got a really cool story on how that all happened.
That's so cool.
But my point is like it just
stay tuned, everybody.
Asking people questions and just really like genuinely just wanting to learn kind of where they're at is really cool.
Yeah.
I think most people want to share it too, but they just don't really have the opportunity to share it. And so for me with this platform, although it takes a while to kind of, podcasts are different, way of getting info. People don't a lot of times have a lot of time to listen to them, but whatever. It's going to be in the ether and it'll be there forever. That's the cool thing for me too, is like one day I hope my kids will listen to this, when I'm and
that's actually really cool. Like, and think about like that.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, maybe people will get little snippets of it. And, I don't really have any grandiose goals with the platform as far as like
I have
subscriptions or likes or whatever. But, I think at the end of the day, if I build enough a platform or resources where I can, say, hey, do you know a mortgage guy? Absolutely. I know a guy. Let me give you his information, the LaMacchia team, and let me send you the podcast too.
I know. That's what you did for Paul. I really appreciated that.
Yeah. And so it's actually worked out pretty good as not only as a marketing tool, but just a way for people to get to know you. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, see how it goes.
And everything's digital. I mean, we live in a digital world,
Right.
We'll
see.
I still have cassettes of my grandpa talking. Like when he's talking about baseball players.
Oh, really?
So I want to show that to have my sons listen to it, just to hear him talk about scouting players and talking about random stories about people he met, because you can't get those. I mean, it's all, we didn't record anything.
Too bad
then.
his grandpa isn't alive. He would be a good podcast.
Oh my Lord.
Geek out on.
You have to get the censor out.
Beep, beep.
Well, listen, I enjoyed it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
Obviously, if anybody ever asks me for a good mortgage team, I will recommend the LaMacchia team, and I'll say I know some guys.
Awesome. Yes, likewise.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.